he got to script his exit from the world in a way that no one else really gets a chance to do in this day and age. And when you go back and you look at Black Star, that video that came out, the 10-minute song that came out, there were instances there where now in retrospect you're thinking, well, he was starting to say goodbye. And then with the video he releases on Thursday, the day before his birthday, Lazarus, that starts out with something like, look at me, I'm here in heaven, or I'm up in heaven. It was just another way for him to do what he had done for over 50 years and do it right up until the very end. And
I think the very first Bowie song I really remember hearing, though, would have been, there was this band in town. They were about a year older than me. And the guy's name was Vernon Grote-John. And I remember him playing the guitar lick to Rebel Rebel. And I just thought that was the most incredible. It's like, oh my God, because he's like, 11, 12 years old, and he's playing this, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Way I'm appreciating his humor. I'm appreciating his fierce ability to just go out there and do things that nobody else would do. Look up the performance he gave in 1978 on Saturday Night Live with Klaus Nomi and Joey Arias, and bringing that intense new wave sort of underground arts culture that he brought to the mainstream on Saturday Night Live, and imagine what people thought of the first time that aired. I'm taking comfort in those moments. I'm taking comfort in the music and the fact that I will always have that with me.
I had a concept in my head that the world should be made safe for differences. And I came from a kind of a conservative environment. So here were women's rights, civil rights, and people had homophobia like you would not believe. And so suddenly there was this beautiful man that appeared in costumes. In fact, in Saturday Night Live skits, he wore a dress with two transsexual gentlemen next to him. And I thought, okay, so, you can't avoid talking about things that are around you when people with a lot of style and class and music share them.
He's constantly reinventing not only the music, and being so in the moment, but he also was bringing this new kind of glam punk rock, and he did it physically, he did it with his eyes, he did it with his character, and he was so in the moment with music that he just captured you.
Sure. I think what I really loved was that by the way that he borrowed from cultures and the way that he brought different genres of art, from dance and mime and theater and the visual arts all together. You were going along with this adventure with him. You were introduced to perhaps a rock band you had never heard of because Bowie, was introducing the world to the Velvet Underground, or Bowie would bring bands like the Pixies under his wing as he would go on a tour.
For me, as a musician, and if you're a musician, I would say look at the lineups that he had. That's an all-star band every time. If it wasn't somebody who was already, a craftsman at their trade, he found them. I mean, classic example is Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, nobody knew Stevie Ray Vaughan until he played on the Let's Dance album.
My husband was in Denver, and he went and saw The Elephant Man, which was a live theater performance with David Bowie as the Elephant Man. He said that David Bowie never wore makeup for that role. He went out and he was behind a sheet, and what he did was he moved his body and created the persona of the Elephant Man, and then went out in front of the people, and you knew he was. And that's it. He used his illusions for good.
When he creates music, you can feel him so much that it's okay not to feel yourself. You can get out of that moment and be there with him. And so the people that I've talked to, I'm like, if you're feeling this way, find one of your favorite songs by him and dance with him. Like, just sing off key, whatever, just sing with him and enjoy yourself. And appreciate what he gave to us. And he wrote this song called Tonight. And the day I found out that he passed, immediately that was the song I played on repeat all day. because he said, I'll see you in the sky. And it was this message of, no matter where I'm at, I'm always with you, and that comforted
A lot
me.
of people always
So-
called him the chameleon or whatever it was, but I always thought he was like one step ahead of everybody.
I remember my first response to The Man Who Fell to Earth was that, oh, that finally explains to me why David Bowie was so unusual. He had the two-colored eyes. He had that incredible uniqueness. So he must have fallen to earth.
I had a friend who really wrote a great thing. He wrote that Bowie sort of provided an immense umbrella for the outsiders and the weirdos and the geeks to be creative and to learn that you were okay who you were. And that was important, It was something that you could find solace in. It was something you could dance to, even if you were embarrassed doing that in front of other people.